Well, as I understand it, I was born in Green Bay in December of 1939. And like we talked before, we moved up to what I call Mom and Pa Johnston's, by my grandma and grandpa Johnston, and lived upstairs there. And according to my dad's work, we lived at the fire tower at Stiles in the summer times, and we lived in they're upstairs above the granary in the wintertime. Then we moved to Coolerville in either 45 or 46. I believe it was 45. My dad's brother Elmer was the cheesemaker there at the cheese factory. And it was Polly and Polly Cheese Company, I believe, that owned it at that time. And they closed the cheese factory down and were selling the place. And Elmer and Beulah were going to move, and the place was for sale, and my mother and dad bought the place so I could go to school. And that's all I remember about that, and that's just stories. I don't really remember it.
Yeah.
Well, it was a one-room school, and I don't know, it probably varied from 15 to 30 kids different times. Dean McTravers and I were the only two kids that I remember of go home for lunch every day. We lived by the river, and then there was Jake Art's house, and then the hall or the community building or the old church, and right across the road was the school. I had a well-worn path, as I recall, from house to school through Jake Art's yard and around the church and into the schoolyard. One of the things that I heard tell about is when Mrs. Jake Art would do laundry, I'd run through under her clotheslines, and she'd always leave me a spot between Martin's bib overhauls hanging long. She'd leave a spot like this where my trail went through so I could go through and get home for lunch and back again. The trail was well worn in the grass in the summer and in the snow in the winter, and she'd always leave that spot for me to run through. They enjoyed going to the cabin. I mean, we had a cabin, my dad and other fellows had bought it in the, I don't know, probably in the early 30s. And it's northwest of Eagle River, and they liked to spend a lot of time there, as much time as they could, get away from everything and fish and just relax.
Now this place northwest of Eagle River, is that a place that you kept for a long time?
So yeah, they still own that. I mean, it's still in a trust, in the Allen and Ruth Johnston Trust. So we're the primary caretakers of it right now.
What are your memories of going up there, Lee?
Oh, I can remember going early. I mean, I'm sure I was there as a baby probably, and then early, and it was an older cabin on a point on the lake. And I don't know what year it was, but it was, they couldn't get a clear title to it after many years because there was so many of the original partners' descendants had been in, and you couldn't find them all and get a title, and they let it kind of go for back taxes and reclaimed it to get a clear title. And then they divided it among the three descendants of the original owners. And one took the cabin, the old cabin on the point. One took lots, and my dad took, nobody wanted the woodland, so my dad took the woodland with some lake frontage. And then we built a cabin up there, and I don't know what year it was, my dad and family did, our own cabin on the lake.
You built it at a time that you remember, so
yeah, I
it was
remember
during your
that.
lifetime.
Yeah, I remember that. That was probably in the 70s, I'm guessing. Marshall Lake.
Marshall Lake.
It's about an 80-acre lake.
Yeah.
I think it's 17 miles northwest of Eagle River. Oh, they like to play cards. I know that. I think they played with Joan Vi a lot, and she enjoyed shopping. She enjoyed visiting with friends, playing cards, fishing, outdoor stuff. I guess. You know.
How about your dad?
Well, he enjoyed his hunting and fishing, and he enjoyed his work too. He worked at a lot of different jobs. Like we talked before, he was a milk hauler and a general hauler for different things, and he all originally worked for the state of Wisconsin in the fire tower out at Stiles. And well, I think it took the values of honesty and reliability and things like that, and love of the outdoors. I mean, both Mom and Dad were outdoor people, and I'm sure that's where I got mine. Being a good neighbor, being there to help whenever help was needed, never asking for help if you needed it, because there was there's always somebody there to help you, you know. I think we feel, Don and I feel really lucky where we live here. It's almost the same way here. You know, if somebody needs help, everybody's there to help. Nobody asks for help, but it's always there. We're not in the city. We're in we're awful close to town, but it's country here. Yeah. Well, I think it was a close-knit community in a way, where if anybody needed something, there was always people there, but it wasn't so close-knit that people were, how would you say it, interfering in other people's lives. I think, you know, it was, I don't know how you would say it, but it's just a community where everybody cared about everybody, and it was one of the best communities there was, I think.